Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Wednesday, it's January 13th, it's 2021. We have 8 NBA games to talk about here on today's slate. We are presented by Monkey Knife Fight. Try the fastest growing single player DFS site out there. Get a matching deposit bonus of 100% up to $50 on your first deposit. RotoGrinders.com/partners/MKF. If you haven't already checked them out, check them out. Love that they've hopped on the podcast. They continue to help make the podcast free each and every day. For the third day in a row, I'm joined by my good buddy, Will, Chiefjustice06. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. Excited to come on with you. You know, I love NBA, and I think we're starting to get in a groove here. And that doesn't mean we're getting everything right every day, but I think we're on the right track. So I'm excited, man. Always a pleasure to hang out with a guy I consider to be one of my best friends in the industry. So let's get it, man.
Yeah, this is an interesting slate. Like you said, I feel like I'm starting to get into a groove. We talked about it yesterday. Like some things still kind of work out, and big men against Brooklyn still works. Jokic is absolutely smashing. So hopefully we could keep it rolling here. Tyler Hero might bail me out of the headline. When we started, like he just cracked 30 fantasy points. Terrible game for him, and he got to 30 somehow. So if you played Tyler Hero, if you're like me and you went all in on Tyler Hero, you're probably sitting there going, all right, keep it rolling here, finish out the game, get five or six more. He's so highly owned, it doesn't matter. But anyway, let's get into this slate. We got 8 games. Good to see the NBA made the decision to kind of keep the season rolling.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I get what they were saying too. Like if they send everybody home, how bad is it going to be when they come back in 2 weeks? It's going to be worse than what it is now. So they kind of had these like built-in days where they could have some postponed games and stuff. And there was 2 games on this slate that were postponed. So let's get into it. Dallas at Charlotte is where we get started. It's a 221 total. Dallas favored by 5. Brunson, Finney-Smith, Powell, Kleber, Richardson all out for Dallas. Porzingis is probable. And then Cody Zeller remains out on the Charlotte side of things. Let's start here with Dallas. What are we looking at here as far as this team is concerned?
Honestly, it feels like, maybe just Luka, with Porzingis coming back. I'm going to assume Porzingis is going to play 20 to 25 minutes max. Like that's kind of where I've got him pegged. So not going to play Porzingis at 8,400. I feel like it's just Luka. Maybe James Johnson, but even his minutes may come down to around 18 now to 20 with Porzingis back. I think that's where I'm at, man. I think it's just Luka. Tim Hardaway Jr. is way too expensive on DraftKings. Like that's absurd. Trey Burke in large field tournaments, but that's about it.
Listen, I think Willie Cauley-Stein is in play here. He's pretty cheap. We know Powell and Kleber are both out. Boban might get some run in this game if you're playing large field tournaments. This might be a spot that you throw 5% Boban out there, because this is a guy even in 15 minutes, you can put up 30 plus fantasy points. But I'm with you. I think Luka, I wish Tim Hardaway wasn't so expensive, because he's going to shoot the ball a ton in this game. Played 40 minutes against Orlando the other night. He's going to have to play a bunch of minutes here with Brunson out, with Finney-Smith out, with Richardson out. Like Hardaway's going to have to play, and like this guy's not shy to shoot. So, and Luka creates, and with Porzingis out there as well, they're gonna have some open shots for Hardaway. It's whether or not he's hitting them or not at this price. You really need him to be hitting those shots. And then you mentioned Johnson. I don't mind James Johnson, because I don't expect Porzingis to play a ton, and these guys are without a lot of people. So I think Dallas is open season here. And then on the Charlotte side of things, like LaMelo Ball, he shot 3 for 13 the other night. 3 for 13.
0
and put up
points
44. 44 fantasy points though.
Ooh, yeah. He's balling, man, and his price is now at $7,200. They only raised it $200. Here's the deal, Stevie. The game before against Atlanta, he shot 9 for 13, right? And he put up 61. Like, he still got ceiling. It's so crazy. So I think LaMelo's in play here. This should be an up and down game. So I do like him. I think it's going to be an up and down game. PJ Washington is kind of just priced out of where I want to play him now. Like when he's in that 5K range, I'm going to keep playing him. Now he's 6,300. Don't want to play him at that price. I think if I was going to take a flyer in this game, it will probably be Miles Bridges, and not because he had a big game the other night or a semi-big game, but he's cheap enough to where if you like this game, you think it's competitive. If you think Bismack Biyombo is going to start hovering around 25 minutes, then to me that feels like they're going to play a little small at times, which means Miles Bridges should stay around 25 minutes most games. So he's a guy that I don't hate. Gordon Hayward, while I don't like the contract, I've already said this, like I've got nothing against Gordon Hayward in terms of actual real-life game. The guy's balling out. Shot attempts are there. Didn't really have the peripherals the other night, but still got there. 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He was on fire, Stevie, in the first half. I think he had 25, 24, 27 points. It was somewhere around there. Like, he was insanely hot. I think in this spot, Gordon Hayward, he's going to go very under-owned, but I do like him in this spot that should have game that should have pretty good pace.
Yeah, I think like this game screams go small. And that might be one of the reasons that like Boban doesn't get a ton of minutes is because Charlotte likes to go small anyway with Zeller out, Biyombo. They can kind of go small. So the more I think about Boban, the more I think like maybe you don't do it here in this spot. This team isn't a terribly big team. And, we might at times see like no centers from either team out there. No big guys from either team. Like it might be Bridges playing against James Johnson at the 5. Like that might be what we see here, which could open up rebounds and all kinds of stuff. So love LaMelo, like Hayward a lot. I think Graham is kind of right on that verge of price on FanDuel. I think DraftKings, there's too many mouths to feed, but I talked about this last time last time Charlotte played, and I said that like Graham was interesting on FanDuel. He had a really good game, but he's gone over 35, fantasy points on FanDuel in 3 of the last 4, and he's only 6K. So I think he's still very playable over there. We keep trucking along here. We got Milwaukee at Detroit, 230 total. Milwaukee favored by 10. Both these teams pretty healthy. Craig out for Milwaukee, Hayes out for Detroit. We'll start with the Milwaukee side of things. Anything standing out to you here as far as this team goes?
I mean, these teams have played recently, and one of the games was actually fairly competitive, like, for the most part, and I still don't like this game overall. Maybe Brook Lopez, like maybe at 5K. Giannis is always in play because he's got the upside. Like, I'm never going to tell anyone to not play Giannis. Outside of that, Stevie, I'm not playing Chris Middleton at 8,200. I don't want to play Dante DiVincenzo at 54 in this spot. They seem content on keeping Drew at, the 6K range. He's 6,900. Maybe you play him, but I don't even want to play him. I think it's just Giannis or bust for me in this spot.
Yeah, like I'm kind of looking through game flow. And the first time these two teams played, Drew, Giannis, Lopez, Middleton all played over 30 minutes, but I think it was the second end of the back-to-back. Didn't they play back-to-back nights or like something like it was something like that? I don't know if they played back-to-back nights. They went a day off in between, but like the next game, like Middleton was the only other person that played over 30 minutes, and the average lead was 17 instead of 10. So, overall here, I don't want to pay this price for Giannis. If this game were to somehow stay close, and I was going to play Giannis, I'd be looking to run it back with like Grant or Rose or somebody like that, just to kind of hope the game stays close type of thing. I think Grant would be the best option. But yeah, as far as Milwaukee goes, I think they blow this game open. And like, I think like the guy I'm most interested in is maybe like Bobby Portis, but he's kind of expensive, so probably not going to go too crazy here when it comes to the Bucks. Anything for the Pistons that you like here?
Not really, man. I mean, I like Jeremy Grant, but he's 7,900. Yes, he should be 7,900. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's probably been one of the most consistent fantasy players all season, Stevie. I mean, if I gave you this game log, like the first game he had was 19 points. Outside of that, 52, 39, 46, 31, 34, 42, 47, 52, 44. I mean, the guy's been insanely good. The price tag is warranted. I just don't think I want to pay for it in this spot. And I mean, he's done well against Milwaukee, like 47, 42 fantasy points. I would accept that, especially, if you're playing cash games or single entry. But I don't think I want to do it on this slate. I do like him, though. I think, if they get blown out, he doesn't have a good game. Like at 7,900, he could really burn you.
Yeah, even on Fanduel at 8,300, he's expensive. He's gone for over 40 fantasy points in 4 straight games. He's been phenomenal.
Yes.
He's just absolutely crushing this year. It's just the price is kind of caught up to the production, and I think he's okay. Like, I wouldn't talk you off of it, but I think like the only way you're playing Grant is if you're playing Giannis. I think that's how you play both of these guys, because like Grant's overpriced. Giannis needs to be in a competitive game to get there. So for both of these guys to get there, I think they kind of correlate well with each other as far as like, looking at this overall. But outside of like Grant, I don't think we're going to need like Plumlee or anybody like that, value wise on this slate. Like Bay has had one good game here recently, but like his price is still kind of high. Josh Jackson, he's kind of all over the place. He's kind of lost his minutes to Bay, and it's just like I don't really want to trust Detroit in general. If I play Grant, I'll play Giannis in that lineup. But overall, like I don't know. Blake Griffin has 40-point upside at 6,200, but he's not Blake Griffin of like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Like that, and Miami's going to win the game, by the way. And if you went to sleep and you didn't like watch the game and you just played Tyler Hero, you have no idea how he got to those 38 fantasy points. You just be super excited that he got to that many.
Yes.
Brooklyn at New York. We got a 218.5 total. Brooklyn favored by 5 in this game. It is a back-to-back for Brooklyn. There was a report that came out earlier today that it's likely Kyrie won't be with the team for the next 3 games. So that includes Tuesday's game against the Nuggets, this game against the Knicks, and then Saturday against the Magic. So it's a back-to-back. I don't even know if Durant plays in this game. I think like there could be a potential like Durant sitting on the back-to-back. I don't think he's played a back-to-back yet this season. So, man, this could be LeVert season again. Like, and then on the Knicks side of things, Bullock's doubtful, Burks is out, Nick Lakina's out, and Toppin's out. So let's start here with the Nets. Will, it wouldn't shock me if Durant sits in this game, especially on the second end of a back-to-back. If he plays, I love him. If he sits, I love LeVert. Like, it's not anything crazy here.
Well, and here's the next thing, Stevie. Once again, we have a little bit more Russian roulette on FanDuel. Now Karis LeVert has moved to point guard. So if you weren't following this, he started the year at small forward. He was then moved to shooting guard. And now he's at point guard for this game. So please, this is their version of multi-position eligibility. They just move him slate to slate. Very frustrating. At any rate, let's talk about Brooklyn. And I think I'm with you. It's Karis LeVert, or bust. I think, if KD sits, man, like you play Karis LeVert, I think you play Joe Harris. Like that's how I think you play this team. That's what feels right to me, Stevie. I mean, yeah, he's 8K, but if there's no KD, he goes from 45-point ceiling to like 60-point ceiling in this spot. So I think you take him. Same thing with Joe Harris. He's 5,500, but he goes from maybe 30-point ceiling and maybe 40-point ceiling with just those two kind of running the show. And then I think that also opens it up a little bit more for a guy like Jared Allen. Like no KD, I'm more than willing to pay 6,700 for Jared Allen because in my mind he goes from maybe 35 to 40-point ceiling, like 50-point ceiling. So that's kind of where I am. If KD sits, it will provide us some value, like a Jeff Green at 3,600. At that point, we know he's probably going to play 28 minutes, be a little bit more involved. Same thing for Taurean Prince, 3,800. he'll probably play 25 minutes, be a little more involved. So those are the type of things I think we do with Brooklyn if for some reason KD happens to sit.
The other thing that I wanted to note that I had noticed when I was looking through this slate, I always look at the back-to-back, game logs and stuff. DeAndre Jordan hasn't played a minute on Tuesday. I find that super interesting because earlier this season he played like 12 minutes and then he played like 30 minutes on the second end of a back-to-back. Just throwing it out there that if we get any kind of like question mark on Allen, we'd lock in DeAndre Jordan at 3,400 because he's not playing a back-to-back. He got Tuesday night off. So he'll have plenty of legs to get out there and play 30. So the other guy that I want to note here is Joe Harris. If Kevin Durant is out, Joe Harris always sees an uptick with Kyrie and Durant off the floor. So definitely look into Harris. Let's go to the Knicks side of things here. The Knicks are super interesting. This screams like the same thing we were talking about for Jokic yesterday, for Julius Randle today. Now, Julius Randle is not likely going to go out there and get you like 10 assists, even though he has a triple-double on the season. But like this is a spot, it feels like he goes for 30 actual points, puts up 10 to 15 rebounds, does anything in any of the other stat categories. We're looking at 50, 60 fantasy points.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is, he's back down to 9,100 now. Where, just the last slate, he was at 96, 95, 98. Like, of those, I'll take a few hundred off in a matchup against Brooklyn. This could be a spot, Stevie, where Mitch, Rob, and Randall could kind of do some damage together. So I think that's something I'm going to look at on this slate in terms of a pairing of those two. I don't want to read too much into Kevin Knox. He played 30 minutes against Charlotte, had a phenomenal game. I don't want to read into it. I'd rather just see what becomes of it. Gosh, man, RJ's playing so many minutes. Can he get a little bit more efficient in his shot making? And now we've got a guy that's pretty much putting up 40 almost every night. So I think I'm going to pass on RJ, although this is a really good spot. And then Elf Payton 6,600 on DK. Won't play him there, but at Fanduel at 57. I'm going to continue the Elf Payton train. He's pretty much putting up almost 30 fantasy points. Most nights when he's getting a minute. So I'm not afraid to roll the dice there.
So I will say the thing, like, I think Knox is somewhat interesting just because like Bullock's doubtful again. And he didn't play the other night. Like that's where the minutes came from. So I don't know if I trust it, but if we don't get a ton of value that opens up on this slate, I think Knox is super interesting for large field tournaments. Because like he could easily do the same thing. He could easily play 30 minutes. This team's going to be pretty short-handed in general, right? Like they only had 8 guys play against Charlotte the other night. So like if that's going to be the case, because I'm trying to think, like everybody that was out should be out again, right? Because Taj Gibson was available the other night. Oh no, he's available, so he'll be a 9th body. But I think like overall, I think if you want to take a shot on a guy like Knox, it's not a bad play. He's gonna be the guy that has usage with Quickly on the bench. They moved Austin Rivers into the starting lineup, and he played like 30 gazillion minutes. And he's 5,300. So I think Knicks, you could play Randall, play one of the cheap guys, and run it back with LeVert if Durant's out, or run it back with Durant if Durant plays. So this is definitely a 2-1 type of stack game for sure.
Yeah, and Karis LeVert definitely owes us some money because he may not get there tonight, or if he does, it's going to be by the skin of his teeth. Like I think he's around 29 fantasy points as we're recording this podcast. I'm not even sure if he's in the game, but if he gets there, it's going to be by the skin of his teeth. So I would appreciate our 50-point fantasy game yet again from him.
Just so you know, Heat's the Heat and the 76ers just went into overtime. Never in doubt. Never in doubt about Tyler Hero.
Just end the podcast now. Just end it.
Never in doubt about Tyler Hero. Don't mess with my titles. Memphis at Minnesota, 219 total. Minnesota favored by 1 in this game. Triple J is out. Morant's out. Winslow's out. Big news here on the Minnesota side. Okaji is questionable and Cat is questionable. So these guys aren't like ruled out night before. And there was a report that said Karl Anthony Towns is expected to play in this game, which is huge for like D'Angelo Russell and all these guys. What do you like here from Memphis?
Oh, Stevie, not much. These guys are priced up mostly. I just don't like the pricing, man. On DraftKings, these guys are expensive. I don't think they're worth it. You come back to Fanduel, kind of a lot of the same. Like Dylan Brooks is 63. Don't hate it. Kyle Anderson is still 5,400 though on Fanduel. Like he's probably the guy that's in play for Memphis on Fanduel. I feel really comfortable fading anyone else. Now it is Gorgie Jang revenge night, but I'm not really going to buy into that. Not going to worry about it. But Kyle Anderson on Fanduel, 5,400. I think that's a fantastic play.
Listen, revenge is a thing. Like if you would have listened yesterday and you would have listened to my Jordan Clarkson rant, like he has 40 fantasy points. Like, and they're getting beat by 33, so he's getting 28 minutes in a blowout and getting all the garbage time.
Man. Garbage time Clarkson.
That's right. That is Jordan Clarkson at his finest, buddy. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Memphis for me on DraftKings, not a lot to love here. Valanciunas, if he was a little bit cheaper, maybe. Like all these guys are kind of priced exactly where they should be to kind of like 5-6x, and like it's an 8-game slate. We need to chase some ceiling. Like if I'm playing anybody, it's Melton, but we have a ton of value already that we've talked about, and I'm sure we're going to talk about some more. So I probably don't end up on him. But Kyle Anderson on FanDuel, talked about it last 2 nights ago when they were playing Cleveland. He's not likely going to kill you at that price, and he's a guy that can get you like 30 plus. So don't hate him. Let's move right along here to the other side. We got Minnesota. With Cat coming back, I think like obviously we're going to have to see how it kind of affects, but like I struggle to pay 8,100 for D'Angelo Russell with Karl Anthony Towns on the floor.
Yeah, man, I don't think I can do it. And I mean, Cat at 98. I mean, that's if he's coming back, I think he's the play from this team. And I really don't think I want to play anyone else. Like I don't see. Anthony Edwards, they're not really, giving him minutes consistently. I mean, and by consistently, I mean, I feel like maybe he should be around 30 minutes and it's just like 25, 30, 26, played 18 against San Antonio. That might've been some foul trouble. I haven't looked into it, but he's just kind of all over the place. Malik Beasley, while the minutes are going to be there, he's overpriced. I think I'm with you. It's really just Karl Anthony Towns. There's drastic differences in price between FanDuel and that game today, but even still, like D'Angelo at 75, maybe multi-positional flexibility roulette again. They've moved Malik Beasley from shooting guard to small forward on FanDuel now. So many things going on. So I think it's just Karl Anthony Towns. I think that's it.
So I just quickly ran Court IQ with Cat on and Cat off. D'Angelo Russell around 0.96 fantasy points per minute with Cat on the floor in about 68 minutes this season. With Cat off the floor, he's at 1.11. So a huge difference with Cat on and off the floor as far as D'Angelo Russell goes. Usage goes up about 3% as well. And like that's a lot when we're looking at like this type of price and everything. So I'll probably pass on pretty much this game in general. Like this is one of those games that you could probably not fully cross off because there are some options, but you can definitely look elsewhere. Lakers and Thunder, both these teams on a back-to-back, so we don't have a total. We don't have an injury report because both these teams are on a back-to-back. obviously there's a question mark around LeBron and Anthony Davis anytime we have a back-to-back. Will, what are we looking at here as far as the Lakers go?
Steve, now I will say this. I do think one of these guys sits this time. I could be wrong, but it feels like one of these guys is going to sit. I don't know who it is, which one. And like I said, we could be wrong. I think, if they play, I feel like this game should be less competitive. So we just need to go against our gut on this season. They're pretty much blowing out Houston. So OKC is probably going to hang in this game and possibly give them a loss. LeBron James at 9,600. I think that's an incredibly fair price for him. I like the price on Anthony Davis at 9,000 now. Like, that's near lock button for me at this point, Stevie. AD, 9K. If this game is close, he can put up 50. You can win a tournament with 50 at 9K, Stevie. So I think, yet again, I think I'm just going to start playing both of these guys because they're starting to get too cheap. We've seen this with AD. We've seen AD get down to like 8,900 before, and then bam, 70-point game. I think I'm playing AD on this slate no matter what, as long as he doesn't sit. Like, 9K is just too cheap.
Yeah, so it's really easy, right? If LeBron sits, you play Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis sits, you play LeBron. If either one of them sit, you play Kyle Kuzma. Like, if one of them sit, you play Kuzma. Kuzma's going to play good minutes. If one of these guys sits, he's always touches like 30. He always sees an increase in shot attempts. So I think he potentially is one of the better value plays on this slate if we get some news here that one of these big guys are going to sit, because he's kind of priced right on DraftKings, but he's 3,900 on Fanduel.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, he'd be like a chalky value play for sure over there. So, I don't know, man. Like, maybe like Markieff Morris if Anthony Davis sits. He played like 29 minutes the last time Anthony Davis sat. So I think you're just going to have to kind of wait and see on news on this one. If everybody plays, I probably don't play anybody here. Like, honestly, like, the Lakers should handle OKC even with both these teams being on a back-to-back too. I don't know. Are the Lakers really on a back-to-back? They played like 5 minutes of like starters minutes against the Rockets. Like, it's I don't know. It's so weird, man. This year is crazy. Like, they're up by almost 30 points in the third quarter. So
yes.
Maybe nobody rests because they're all going to get the rest in the third and fourth quarters in this game. So who knows? Like, LeBron's already out of the game. Like 5:30 to go in the third quarter, and LeBron's already out of the game. Like, he's
on the bench.
Yep, and he ain't coming back. Let's go to the Thunder side of things.
Jesus.
Like we said, they're on a back-to-back as well. They're playing a much more competitive game on Tuesday, going up against San Antonio. What are we looking at here for the Thunder?
Well, we're going to see what happens with Hamidou Diallo by the end of the night. And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really like OKC. Beasley's 5,900 now. I mean, he's still got some upside. I feel like Beasley's just going to be resolved for large field tournaments. We'll see what happens with Diallo. If he has another one of those upside games tonight, then, maybe we put him in play against the Lakers where, he may get some extra run. SGA at 77. I don't think I want to play him against the Lakers. So I think I'm probably going to be scratching off most of this team outside of Diallo.
Tyler Hero 50 burger, never in doubt. Don't mess with my titles.
And last I checked, the game was tied. They may be going into another overtime at a minute 29. And Joel Embiid also has like around 80-something fantasy points. Insane.
Yep,
insane.
82. If you don't have Jokic or Embiid, you lost on this slate probably.
And look, FanDuel spared me because I would have gotten it wrong. I wasn't going to play Embiid tonight, but I had so much Jokic, so I got that part right. And then Karis LeVert's wet in the bed. DeJounte Murray's wet in the bed. But we might get a little OT in Brooklyn, so you never know. If that happens, I'll be feeling great.
No, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm never in doubt. Danny Green, by the way, 60 fantasy.
Oh gosh,
maybe FanDuel was like super sharp by leaving this game off the slate.
Yep. Thank you, FanDuel. You saved me tons tonight.
Yeah, as much as we criticized them lately with some of the choices they've made, two game slates for football this weekend is one of them. Yeah, as far as the Thunder go, man, like I don't know, I don't see myself really playing anybody here from the Thunder. I think if one of Davis or LeBron sits, I think you could use SGA as a run back if you start getting too heavy on the Lakers. But overall, probably not a game that I'm going to be overweight on by any means. So. Atlanta at Phoenix, 230 total. Phoenix favored by 5.5 in this game. Bogdanovich, Dunn, Gallo are all out. Capella and Rondo are questionable. Those are big news. Payne doubtful. Jalen Smith still out for Phoenix. Let's start with Atlanta. This screams like Trae Young go off spot. I don't know. Like, I think this is the spot that he could go crazy in. I do like him usually in like pace up spots, but Phoenix is a team that's kind of middle of the road defensively. They're playing at a really slow pace, but when they get in these games that have a faster pace, they struggle even more defensively. Like they gave up 128 points to Washington the other night. Phoenix did. What are your thoughts when it comes to Atlanta?
I like Atlanta here. I do want to see what's going to happen with Capella. Like, I think that's huge news. Like, if Capella sits, this just feels like John Collins should play, have a safe 35 minutes for a change, and he's going to be squarely in play at 7K. Like, I think he would be my favorite play. Trae at 89, yes, sir. Played 25 minutes the other night, put up 45 fantasy points. Wrist was hurting, but he still got there. And then I think my value play here, I think I'd be going right back to the well on Cam Reddish at 5K. The only reason these guys didn't play big minutes, they kind of blew Philly out, handed it to him, in the third quarter, and the game was just done. But if Cam Reddish gets 30, 35 minutes, I'm going to equate that to, 35, 40-point ceiling or upside, rather. So I think at 5K, he's going to be a guy that I like a lot. Same thing with DeAndre Hunter. Like, he put up 27 in 23 minutes. Think if he gets 10 more minutes, Stevie, like he's getting close to 40, I'm sure. So I like these guys. I think if the game stays competitive, they can definitely get there.
DeAndre Hunter is playing really good basketball right now. His price has caught up. Like he has gone over 30 fantasy points in 5 of the last 6 and had 27 in 23 minutes, like you just said, in the last game. So kind of ruined his streak by them getting out on Philly a little bit the other night. But I think this is a game that you could potentially look at. I think that Portland Sacramento game is going to be the juiciest game on the slate, and we're coming up to that game, so I don't want to like compare it to that game, but I do think like this is one of those games that if your 7 or 8 o'clock players aren't doing as good as you had hoped, you could potentially look at Atlanta Phoenix to maybe pivot off of some of the Portland Sacramento exposure you're going to have, just to get your lineups different in tournaments here. It's hard to talk about that kind of stuff the night before. I know we talk a lot about it on like Grinders Live and stuff like that, but just throwing it out there, it is something to kind of look at here as far as how to approach the slate. And then if Capella sits, I don't know, man. I don't see myself like running to play any of the big guys. I think Atlanta could potentially maybe put Collins at the 5 against Ayton. And Collins minutes would even be a little bit better. And like we see more Hunter and Reddish and Herter and those guys, but I don't want to play any of like these makeshift like big guys like Knight and Fernando, and I don't see myself using those types of guys. Gotta unmute your mic, rookie.
Yeah, I know. Not at all. I was trying to get ahead on Phoenix because I do have some guys I like, but yeah, no, not at all. I wouldn't be using Fernando or any of those jabronis. Courtesy of my man Cheese is good. Baseball is on the way.
Baseball is on the way. So is NASCAR. Chris Paul is also on the way. 7,200 going up against Atlanta here. What's your thoughts on Phoenix?
Yeah, I like Chris Paul in this spot. Had a really good game, as we anticipated against Washington. Only took 10 shots. He's not going to be high volume, but with an assister there and a few of the rebounds, and he's playing good defense. then they're going to get there. The guy that I want to talk about in this spot is Cam Johnson. He's 4,100. They got blown out, so he didn't really get the full scope of his minutes. But I think this is a spot for him that he could thrive when you've got Hunter, you've got Reddish, and you've got Herter. Like, they may have to play a little smaller. Like, I think this is definitely a Cam Johnson spot. Same thing for Mikal Bridges. Now, Mikal's 5,700. So I'm not as easily enthused. I definitely take Reddish over Bridges. But Cam Johnson for sure at 4,100 is someone I wanted to point out. I'm not playing Devin Booker at 8,300. Price just isn't warranted for the upside he has this season. He's more of a 7K player right now. But Chris Paul, I definitely have some interest in, along with Cam Johnson. Like, those are my two pieces from the Suns.
Yeah, man, Cameron Johnson. Gosh, he was so awful the other night. He killed some really good teams. He just shot the ball terribly. Those nights are going to happen. I think at 4,100, you could definitely go back to the well. Got to have a short memory, right, Will? Got to have a short memory when it comes to.
Even I played, Mr. Rivers, Austin Rivers, and he let me down again. But you're right. Got to be short memory.
New Orleans at LA taking on the Clippers. 221 total here. Clippers favored by 6.5. Lonzo is out. Bledsoe is questionable. That could make for a very interesting situation. And then Zubac is questionable on the Clippers side. Let's start with this Lonzo news. If Bledsoe plays, it is Stan Van Gundy. It is no Lonzo. Bledsoe probably plays 35 minutes, but does that mean we get like 30 minutes out of Josh Hart? Does JJ Redick get some extra minutes? Is this a Alexander Walker, 30-minute type of game? Like, well, there's so many question marks when it comes to New Orleans in this spot with Lonzo Ball out.
Yeah, man. In my mind, I'm thinking it's the Alexander Walker game. That's what it feels like to me. But listen, I could definitely be wrong. Obviously, I think so. Here's the deal. I think if Bledsoe plays, then I think Bledsoe's going to get the run, and I think it's going to be Josh Hart. Like, that's kind of my thought process, right? If Bledsoe and Lonzo are out, I think it's for sure Nickeil Alexander-Walker and JJ Redick. I think they both get the run. That's kind of my thought process. At any rate, and that won't exclude Josh Hart, obviously. I'm just saying I think Redick and Walker would be in play, not just like Josh Hart and Walker or something like that. At the end of the day, this team is kind of running through Brandon Ingram. So, 8,500. I don't love it, but I think he's always going to be a tournament play extraordinaire. Same thing with Zion at 73. Like, these guys are going to be tournament plays all year. But Brandon Ingram has been playing really well, and he would be, my tournament guy yet again at 8,500, and nobody's going to play him.
Ah, man. This could be one of those spots, man. This game could open up just so much potential here. Ingram should smash here, right? Like, I know you just got done talking about it, but like, he should smash in the spot. Like, I don't know. Maybe like Zion gets a little bit more usage with Lonzo out too. I don't know. He's 7,300. I don't hate taking shots on Zion here. LA, the Lakers, the Clippers side of things here, Paul George, Kawhi, they're kind of priced where they should be. The thing that I'm like somewhat curious about is if we get news pre-lock that Zubac's not going to play, does that mean we get 32 minutes out of Ibaka?
Man, that would be nice. He had a stretch against Golden State where he played 35 minutes and 30 minutes, and then against, the Bulls, he played 26 minutes. I think I'd pencil Serge for 30 flat. Like, I think that's the safe way to go if Zubac sits, because Patterson may pick up another, 4 or 5 minutes. Maybe he plays 13, 14 minutes now. Maybe Morris picks up a few more minutes, but I think 30 minutes flat feels safe for Ibaka in this spot. But other than that, though, I'm really not too interested in the Clippers here.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. If Zubac sits, I think I'll probably fire up some Serge Ibaka, even at 6K. He's a guy that could get 40 in this one. So, we finished out the night with probably, like I said, the juiciest game on the slate. We got Portland at Sacramento, 236.5 total here. Portland favored by 4. Blevins, Collins are out. Nurkic is questionable. Another potential center play that could open up the slate if he's out. And then on the Sacramento side, Hield and Holmes are both probable. And I know that like Lillard was banged up, but they've already said he's probable as well. So let's start with Portland. What do you like here?
Well, we've been talking about it. I still like CJ McCollum, Stevie. And now, especially with Dame having some form of an ankle, CJ played 39 minutes against Toronto, put up another 51 fantasy points, 19 shots, shot 10 for 19, 5 of 11 from 3, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. CJ's doing it this season, man. I'm going to try to make the adjustment. Like, if we were ever going to pay up for CJ McCollum, this is the spot to do it against Sacramento. Just don't let us down, CJ. God, don't burn us on this one. Don't treat us like a stepchild. Like, give us our fantasy points. I like him in this spot, though. I think I'm definitely willing to play him over Dame against Sacramento for the price. That's kind of where I am. We saw an emergence. Remember, and I know we talked about this the other night. Carmelo Anthony out of nowhere, 35 minutes, 43 fantasy points. What in the world? I want to play him. It's Sacramento. I feel like this is a spot to do it. But he just played 22 minutes against this team last time. Yes, it was a blowout. I get it, but maybe they were ramping him up. Did someone get hurt in the game? Not sure. But I think if Carmelo's going to get 35 minutes, 30 minutes even against Sacramento, man, like, fire him up. He's going to be a great value play. I think this is just a spot on the night where we can almost just wait for this game and take 3 or 4 pieces.
Yeah, this is one of those games where if you're sitting on 4 of these guys, you might have a chance to run down anybody depending on how the early stuff goes. But I think Melo is super interesting. Like, I was kind of looking at it, like the low 20-minute games have been the games that they've blown out. And like, they just blew this team out in Sacramento. Could happen again. Don't get me wrong. But like, if this is a competitive game, wouldn't shock me if Melo plays solid minutes. If Nurkic is out, like Nurkic got hurt in that game, and that could be another reason that like Melo played so much the other night, because like the game went small. Like Cantor, still only played like 16 minutes. So if Nurkic is out, I think Cantor's super interesting. I think Melo's interesting as well. And then like, CJ McCollum, I hate the idea of paying 8,600 for CJ McCollum, but he just put up 50 against this team, 3 or 4 nights ago, and it could easily do it again. I think he's very much in play here. The usage, the fantasy points per minute, like everything is better than Lillard's right now, and he's cheaper. It's just, I think you have to kind of like the spot for CJ McCollum.
Yeah, man. I know I've talked about it. I've been on CJ all year since I saw these performances. And Stevie, he's had multiple 50-point games in like their first 10 games, like multiple. And I don't mean like 2. I mean like 6. 51. Okay, that's 2. 51, another 51, that's 3. 50, that's 4. 66, that's 5. My bad, 5. And all the other games, 44, 43, a 33, and a 36. Like, the guy's been he's been crushing, man.
I love McCollum here. I think you can play Lillard too. Don't get me wrong. I think Lillard is fantastic, but I think McCollum, I'll take the discount of $900. Play him with either Cantor or our boy Melo. Let's go to the Sacramento side of things here. I know like this game was just a blowout, but I think Fox needs a big game if this game stays close. I hate that Harrison Barnes got a price increase. This might be the spot we see what they're gonna do with Halliburton. Like his shot attempts kind of gone down a little bit. His price is kind of up there as well. Like it might be Fox and Fox only, or go down to like a Bagley or somebody just to save some money and just hope you get like a ceiling game from one of the cheap guys.
Yeah, man. I think in this spot for me, it's kind of really Fox or bust. Like, Holmes is 6,400. Like, Holmes has the ceiling, obviously. So I think, maybe if you're going to kind of stack this game, maybe you look at a little bit of Holmes. But I definitely think if Fox is going to play 38 minutes, he's priced down now because they cut his minutes down some, played 25 back-to-back, played 38 against Indiana. If he's going to get, 35 minutes against Portland, that's 7,400. The run back to me sounds like Fox. And like you said, maybe one of the cheap guys. Halliburton's kind of priced out. Buddy Hield's priced up. Harrison Barnes is priced up. We're going to have a lot more value. But I think the anchor pieces you can build around CJ and Fox and then kind of go from there.
Let's play the morning grind game, and then
it's going to be fun.
We'll get out of here for the day. Will, give me your favorite play under 5K to 7X on the slate.
Under 5K today, give me. I'm going to go out on a limb because I think I like this guy. I talked about him in the game. I think they're going to play a little bit smaller because of, the lack of players. Give me Miles Bridges today at 4,400. I think he gets 25 to 30 minutes against Dallas.
All right. I'm going to go with Kevin Knox in that New York game. Bullock doubtful, Burks out. Knox should see decent minutes again. Over 8K to go under 5X. Who's your bust today? Give me Kawhi Leonard. All right. Kawhi it is. Would it be cheating if I said LeBron or Anthony Davis? I'm going to go Karl Anthony Towns. I expect him to play. He's expected to play. I think he's the guy you kind of stay away from in this one. Favorite 6X play?
Julius Randle at 9,100, folks.
I like it, man. I like it. I like that one. You went so fast that I got to figure out who I want. So like my initial reaction, like, is Eric Bledsoe, but we got to wait to see if he's going to play. I'm going to say Bledsoe. If Bledsoe sits, it's by far Josh Hart. So I like Bledsoe. If Bledsoe sits, it would be Josh Hart. Let's get weird GPP play of the day. Will, who do you got?
This was the tough one for me because I actually don't think it's going to be weird if things break our way. But I'm going Anthony Davis at 9K. People just haven't been playing the Lakers. The 9K may stand out, so this may not be as weird as I think it is. But I'm going AD at 9K.
All right. If LeBron gets ruled out, it won't be weird. But if LeBron plays, it will be super weird. I'm gonna listen. I have been one of the people that have like hated paying this price for him all year, but I'm gonna go CJ McCollum in this spot.
Oh yeah.
Game selection. Anything stand out to you on FanDuel or DraftKings today?
I'm gonna go top to bottom again, man. And FanDuel, I feel like they're trying to get a few more things right. Thank you, FanDuel. If anybody's listening, thank you. Up top, man, they've got the $1,600. Look, I know everybody doesn't play in that, okay? So I'm not trying to be funny here, but you guys don't know how atrocious this contest has been for the past, over a year. It was paying out like 14%, Stevie, at one point, and now we're up to 23%. Really small field, so it's 100 players or 100 entries, 3-entry max, $1,650 per, $50K up top. I think that's incredibly fair. that's a contest I can stand by. You need to stick to it. Once again, I keep talking about this lower level contest. But if they're going to give us a $3 contest, Stevie, for you to be able to max out at 450, 100K up top, I think we need to be trying to take advantage of it all the time. So I like that one. Just bringing those two up again. Those are kind of going to be hot for me. I do wish the payout structure was a little bit more flat, but it's still not bad. Like it's a 550K prize pool, 100K to first. Like I could accept that any day of the week. So those are the two. I think you need to be playing in this clutch shot, trying to fire as many entries as you can on the low.
All right, so I'm also going to talk about a cheaper contest, $4 4-point play over there on DraftKings. I talk about this contest in NFL all the time. It's a ton of fun. It's a $4 buy-in. It pays 25% of the field. Top 10's 8%. It's a very good structured tournament. First place is 10 grand. 10th place is $1,000. 20th place is $500. It's 20 entry max, so you can get crazy and try a bunch of different things. You can use groups. You can talk about game stacks and all kinds of stuff that we've talked about on the podcast today. So make sure you guys are checking that out over on DraftKings. Will, any over under against spread pick that you like? Early here.
I think I'm just going to take under in Milwaukee, Detroit. I mean, that feels like the safe bet to me.
Yeah, I don't hate that one. Man, I really think, I think Dallas and Charlotte go over.
I like that call. I like 220. That.
Yeah, over 221. I think when we wake up in the morning and we look at that line, it's going to be a little bit higher, but that's what it opened at. So, Will, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, sir. Everyone keep enjoying your NBA DFS. I want the players to be safe. Hopefully we get the best of both worlds. We get DFS and we get good, safe players.
That is going to wrap it up for today's podcast. Always appreciate you guys listening each and every day. We'll be back tomorrow talking NFL and NBA, breaking down the 4 NFL games on top of, I think there's 5 or 6 basketball games. So that's going to wrap it up. Hope everyone has a great day and enjoy your contest and crush it. We'll see you guys again tomorrow.